Number 10, were you fearful for your life during the Cold War?
No. Why would I?
No, just like nukes and all that.
Oh, because we were during the Cold War, they were building here air raid shelters and things like that. I never believed in any of that. I didn't think we'd ever. See, if you studied world politics and studied the history of power, you would have understood that in the era of Cold War, where the two contending parties were the United States and Russia, you would understand the bipolarity of power. On the one hand, you had the great America, and then the other hand, you had the great Russia, both almost equal powers. And when you have almost equal powers, there's no war. It's when one becomes weaker than the other, that's when you would have that danger. But since both were powerful, the first man in space was Russian,
Mm-hmm.
but the first two men on the moon were Americans.
Mm-hmm.
So we were all, chasing after the moon like that. And even today, the two most powerful nations in the world are still Russia and the United States. And some people are complaining that why are we continually building our power, military power? We have to.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we do not, if say Russia or any other conglomerate countries want to overtake us, and they can do that if and when they sense we are weaker than they are.
Mm-hmm.
And we cannot allow that. We have to continually be a very powerful country. We have to maintain the bipolarity of power.
Mm-hmm.
Or tripolarity if there's another country that can become strong. But that's been ever since the time of Mesopotamia and all this other Persia, long time ago.
All right. Number 11, many thought like Kennedy won the upper hand because he was more attractive looking in television. Did you yourself personally find Kennedy attractive?
Some people will probably say yes.
I would.
You would? Because I'm probably weird. Nana always calls me weird. People's physical appearance don't impact me that much.
But did you just find him attractive at all? Regardless of like his politics, just like he was an attractive person?
Well, I thought he was better groomed. And the difference between Nixon and Kennedy was that Kennedy probably hired someone to advise him on how to behave in front of a camera. And the reason I can tell you that is because of my experience of having worked at the American Broadcasting Company. So you don't sit like the way I'm sitting right now. You just sit up. And Nixon he had been working all day, been campaigning all day, and Kennedy rested all day. So here was Nixon perspiring, and he was wiping himself on television, mm-hmm. and he had a 5 o'clock shadow. Well, Nixon was the type, I met Nixon in person, shook his hand and everything in the Philippines. I was invited to a party where he and his wife were guests. And by afternoon, he does develop the 5 o'clock shadow. He should have stayed home and rested like Kennedy did. And Kennedy had makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Nixon didn't. And Kennedy was sitting cool. He'd go, and Nixon was, and his suit was, Nixon's suit was light. So his face blended into his suit, while Kennedy wore a dark, nice, tailored suit. So that was the difference. And people who are not well educated and have not had experience working in the television industry probably would say right away, whoa, a good looking. Even today, I can understand people's fascination with the Kennedys. But, see, Nana calls me weird. I don't think the Kennedys are worth bothering about. So there was Kennedy looking cool and collected, and Nixon all bothered and tired. And that's all people could see. And even today, people, they judge you by how you look. That's why you always have to wear nice clothes and go to the beauty parlor and things like that. But I think Nixon probably would have made, not probably, I think he would have made a better president than John Kennedy.
So is that a yes, he was attractive, or just well-groomed?
Who, Kennedy?
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't bad looking. I mean, he was okay.
All right.
Well groomed.
Last question, number 12. What were the typical activities to do in the 60s? Because there was like no internet.
What were the recreational activities?
Just in general, what did people do? Like, where did they hang out? Like, what was the cool thing to do?
Well, what did they do? Went to the movies. Movies were very popular. Probably watched television. Go to the beach. It's almost the same thing. Go to parks. That's what we used to do. On weekends, I like to go to Griffith Park and go to the observatory or just sleep under the benches. Go to Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm. I think we went a few times to Las Vegas. My budget for Las Vegas in those days was like $10. If I lost $10, that was it. Quit. Well, we drive to Eureka, where my stepdad had a cousin and an aunt. Yeah, that's what most people did, was visit relatives, friends, beach, the usual, nothing really.
Last question, number 13. What movies did you watch? Or your favorite movie?
You know what? I have never been a movie person except when I was very young. Up to about age 9.
So you didn't like any movies like in the 60s?
I'm trying to think if I ever went to a movie in the 60s. I can't remember. I probably didn't. I preferred reading most of the times.
What book did you read in the 60s?
Political science books.
Wow.
I not into novels. Well, now I probably would read novels, but not then. I just needed to learn everything I could learn about my field. There was one movie that your mommy, he and I watched many times, but that was back in the, 80s? When was your mom born?
I don't know.
Marissa was born 1981, so in the 80s. She and I watched Sound of Music like 20 times.
Good movie.
I can still watch it today and enjoy it. Yeah, I really do. I like the singing there. I can't remember having watched a movie in the 60s. Isn't that terrible?
It's okay if you can't remember.
I can't.
All right. Well,
I remember movies I saw back in the 40s and maybe late 30s when I was 7. I used to go to the movies by myself. I'd come home from grade 1 and stop by the movie, get eaten up by bed bugs.
Well, that's all my questions.
Oh, the
Thank
King
you.
and I saw King and I, but I can't remember if it was on television or what.
Okay.
Can't remember.
Thank you.
All right, welcome.